Hi, my name is Hannibal. I'm Head of Operations at IG, and today I'm going to be talking through a case study of how we helped a client with their PowerPoint templates. So this is a client who had grown rapidly in the years before they engaged us and expanded for the first time to some different offices in different countries in different time zones, the UK, the US and Europe. These different teams had diverged in the style of the documents that they were producing in PowerPoint and Word documents from the original templates that they had as a business. Partly because those original templates were perceived to be a bit dated and old-fashioned, and because as those different teams were developing their slides, adding things in, they were developing their own style. This had actually got so extreme that those different decks were no longer really compatible with each other, and it wasn't possible to drop slides from one deck into another without completely reformatting. This meant that there was huge inconsistency in their outputs to different clients, and it was really hard for the teams to kind of work together on projects. And also because the original slides hadn't really been refreshed in a coherent and sensible way, the overall style and feeling was still a bit dated. When IG got involved, our first step was to review a really big repository of their existing documents from across the different teams. What we were looking for was to identify the commonly used layouts, the sort of types of content that the teams were using across the different teams, the things that they had in common. We were also to identify the specific different needs that the different teams had that they were therefore trying to fulfill by tweaking the template to their own needs. We were also interested to understand which of the new design elements that they'd added they liked, which was working, and which were not really approved of by the rest of the business. We took these elements, we took these different styles from the different teams and synthesized them, also adding in new elements based on discussions with the client, based on some examples that we presented to them that they thought might work for them. We provided initially a set of different options, some much closer to their original brand, some of them a bit more of an evolution in terms of the style, including some new colours based on some comments that they'd made about their existing palette feeling restrictive. Using these different options as a starting point for discussion, we work quite iteratively with the client to hone in on their preferred style and reach something that all of the different elements of the business were happy with. We codified that style and set up the basic template and guidelines. The next step was then to create a bank of useful layouts, graphics and icons for the whole team to use when they were creating new decks or when they were creating new slides, so they had something to kind of work from that was already designed and already in brand, and examples of how to use the new style. Based on the examples of previous work that they'd shared with us that we kind of reviewed at the beginning of the project, we then defined what the commonly used consistent layouts were that we found they were using time and again. That required sometimes a bit of interpretation to see how different teams had kind of laid out the same content in different ways, and deciding whether they needed to have both of those options, whether it would be better to standardize and come up with a single way of presenting those kinds of slides. We paid particular attention to the slides that they used again and again, particularly things like their intro slides and credential slides that they were using in basically all of their proposals. Partly because it was worth investing the time to get those looking really good, but also because it was helpful to give a practical example with actual content in it rather than just a blank template of how to use the style in an effective way and what a really good elevated example of a slide using the new style would look like. At the end of the project, the client had a really easy to use, consistent, modern template that was approved by all of the different parts of their business and fitted the needs of the different projects that they were working on. Crucially, it was also standardized, meaning much more consistent communications and outputs to their clients, much easier collaboration within their teams, and less time spent creating things from scratch because they already had a really useful library of layouts perfectly suited to their work to dip into and adapt as needed. If you'd like help refreshing your templates or standardizing the style, or even just elevating some of those really key reusable slides, we'd love to help. You can get in touch with us on LinkedIn or send us an email.